I'm thankful for the fact that Sid isn't in my nightmares, and in reality, he's a friendly dude. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and hopefully you all had a wonderful day with your family and had a deliciously satisfied meal. Also, hopefully you had some fun watching and experiencing some football, because trust me, I just saw Mascarita Sagrada go balls deep towards a touchdown. But anyway, joking aside, let's discuss the real reason you clicked on this video. Today is the 29th anniversary of the original tradition of Survivor Series, when it aired on Thanksgiving night until the early 90s. So in honor of that, I'm going to review a match that is well known for more reasons than you think. Survivor Series 1996. November 17th, 1996, from Madison Square Garden, New York City, New York. Main event for the WWF Championship, champion Shawn Michaels versus challenger Sycho Sid. Now, this has a bit of a really long backstory, to be honest, because, to be honest, that 1 month of build that we saw between October to November of 96, that really wasn't the original build-up between the two. It really went all the way back to April 1995, the night after WrestleMania 11. After Shawn failed to capture the championship from Diesel at WrestleMania 11, Shawn went on to blame Sycho Sid for costing him the match when he was trying to interfere and take down Diesel to take the championship. And because of how amazing of a performance Shawn put on that night, the fans were really cheering him. And in the segment the previous night on Raw, we saw Sycho Sid powerbomb Shawn Michaels, not taking any more of Shawn's crap, which would then lead to Shawn Michaels turning babyface down the road, and he would go on to win the Intercontinental Championship from Jeff Jarrett at In Your House 2 The Lumberjacks, which is considered by many as one of, if not one, possibly one of the best Shawn Michaels matches of all time, and one of Jeff Jarrett's, if not the best Jeff Jarrett match of all time. But really, these two, Shawn and Sid, were originally scheduled to have an Intercontinental Championship match at SummerSlam 1995. It was already scheduled, it was already set. However, a little before the show, maybe about a few weeks before on Raw, it was then rescheduled to be something else. Interim President Gorilla Monsoon had then changed the match for a later date, where Sycho Sid was still going to be the #1 contender. It's just we weren't sure who the champion was going to be, because at SummerSlam it was now scheduled to be an Intercontinental Championship ladder match rematch between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at SummerSlam, which those two tore the absolute freaking house down. The real reason behind Shawn and Razor being the new match scheduled for this show was because Vince and Creative and all of them looked at the card on paper and said, yeah, this card looks like shit, so we might as well give something presentable on this pay-per-view and something for the fans to talk about. And they definitely were talking, as this was voted by many people as the match of the year in 1995 for not just WWE, but for all of wrestling possibly in 1995. Because let's be honest, 1995 was a horrendous year. But after that, Shawn and Sid would go on to face for the championship about either it was the next night on Raw or even a few weeks later, because on an episode of Nitro on the other channel for WCW, Eric Bischoff had spoiled the results for that match, and people, pretty much remembered that because of Bischoff spoiling the results. But we all know how stupid of a decision that was and how stupid of an idea that was back in the day. But anyway, not the point. We skip forward to 1996, and Sycho Sid returns. I believe he was dealing with a back injury at the time. If not, he was off doing softball. But when the original plan of the 6-man tag team match with Camp Cornette of Owen Hart, Vader, and British Bulldog versus Shawn Michaels, Ahmed Johnson, and the Ultimate Warrior had to be changed because Ultimate Warrior was gone afterwards, they decided to bring in Sycho Sid for this event. And yeah, we got that match, and ended up being a great match from what I understand. But after that, Sid was on his own looking to go after the championship. So after the main event of the In Your House Mind Games pay-per-view between Shawn Michaels and Mankind, which was considered by many the 1996 match of the year, we saw Vader interfere, causing the disqualification, and then we would see Sycho Sid coming in to intersect and come in to take on Vader in a brawl, which would then lead to a #1 contenders match at In Your House Buried Alive, with Sycho Sid going over Vader that night. On that same show earlier in the night, but although it wasn't on the actual live pay-per-view, it was on a dark match actually. Shawn defended the title and retained against Goldust. Shawn and Goldust had several matches in 1996, and I think one of the more notable ones was the ladder match in Toronto. But really, not the point of the video either. We get to this match right here, and really the build-up to this match, it was pretty simple. It was pretty basic, let's be honest. I mean, Raw in 1996, I've seen bits of Raw. It really wasn't that good. I mean, it wasn't all, like, outright horrendous like some stuff in like 2009 or 1995 for Raw, but still, it really wasn't that much to really take note of. So they did a segment on Raw, which, by the way, I haven't seen the full segment, but I am aware of what these segments featured. But they did a segment between Sid and Shawn where they were discussing their match, you know, what was going to happen. And Sid really looked like the badass because, you know, weeks building up, Sid looked like he was supposed to be the heel, although judging by the fans' cheers, it looked like Sid was kind of the babyface, because I'll discuss Shawn's title reign and why I think it was a success in the ring, but a flop business-wise. But really, Sid looked like the man heading into Survivor Series. So they did that segment, and then they would be having guys of Camp Cornette, mainly British Bulldog and Owen Hart, getting involved with those segments, which featured, what was it? Shawn, or no, not Shawn. One of the guys, I believe it was Owen, that hit Sid with a chair. Shawn took it away, tried to hit Camp Cornette with a chair. Sid turned around and thought that Shawn had hit him, which led to a lot of fights and arguments between the two heading into Survivor Series, which would then blow up on the Go Home episode of Monday Night Raw in November 1996. I believe this was November 11th. Yeah, November 11th, 1996 episode of Raw. They challenged for the tag titles. Owen and Bulldog retained, and we saw a brawl break down between Shawn and Sid, and would build up to this match right here. Now, before I get to the match, let's discuss both men and why it was really interesting for the time. Really, Sid, while not my favorite guy in the world, I've seen a lot of people who would say who their favorite guys are, that wasn't solely based on in-ring ability. Sid is up there. I mean, Lundgren has said himself that Sid was one of his favorites growing up, watching him, because, as he said, who would not want to cheer Sid? Who would boo Sid? I mean, he was just a cool-looking bastard, and that's what he said. But that's a good point, because I wasn't really a big Sid fan. He kind of like Goldberg, I kind of misjudged him, but now that I saw a bit of Sid's work, I gotta say, he looked like a legit badass heading into Survivor Series and on the pay-per-view itself. I mean, Sid had the look, he had the intensity. You know, he wasn't the crisp on the mic, we all know why, and you know how much he screwed up on promos, which is hilarious. But it pretty much got him more over, almost, pretty much in a sense. But with that, let's talk about Shawn Michaels. Let me just say that with Shawn, his title reign was a success in the ring. I mean, he was putting on really good to excellent matches on TV and on pay-per-view. I mean, he was busting his ass pretty much every single night, whether on house show, live events, pay-per-views. If I can, I'll put a link in the description to my Royal Reign review that I recently did about a few days ago for Shawn's title reign, and I actually uploaded it on the day of Survivor Series 2016. So yeah, Shawn's title reign, I explained it before and I'll explain it again. It was great in the ring. I mean, he was having so many great matches. I mean, the Iron Man match with Bret Hart, the Mind Games match with Mankind, the No Holds Barred match with Diesel at In Your House, the match with Bulldog at King of the Ring, the match with Vader at SummerSlam, despite the overbooking and the really clunky finish. And even this match itself, he was having so many great matches. But the problem with the title reign was that because this was still in the middle of the New Generation era and Shawn was being pushed as the leader of the New Generation, there was a lack in creativity when it came to Shawn's his feuds, his programs. I mean, go watch some of the stuff that was building up to the British Bulldog match towards for In Your House, Beware of Dog. I'll just say I just was not a fan of that whole Diana Hart, what's it called? Diana Hart scandal thing that they were doing. It just wasn't an attractive storyline. For some women and some of the children, it was interesting. But as we will see in this match, for the hardcore male fans, they thought it sucked. My God. Shawn just could not catch a break. But really, you can't blame Shawn, because how the hell was anybody going to counteract the NWO in 1996? I mean, 1996 was such a pretty tough and pretty bad year for WWF, business-wise and talent-wise. I mean, look at the pay-per-views. I mean, some of the pay-per-views, from what I understand, were good, and a couple of them were great, like Survivor Series. But when you look at the talent pool prior to maybe SummerSlam, they were lacking. I mean, Bret Hart was taking time off before after WrestleMania and before Survivor Series. Diesel and Razor, aka Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, had left and went on to sign with WCW. Sean Waltman would come afterwards. There was the Click incident, the curtain call incident in Madison Square Garden. So Shawn was really having a tough time trying to, get the fans right behind him. The fans were getting behind him, but I just feel like when people talk about that, I think their misconception is that it was mainly the women and the children that were really behind it. And that's another problem. Shawn's the main demographic they were aiming for when it came to Shawn's character, which was the sexy boy, and the whole thing like, I'm gonna do it for the Click. Just the whole Click thing I thought was stupid. Oh my God, I hated that personally, because it just didn't resonate with everyone in the whole Click thing. I think if they were actually willing to be a little more serious with Shawn's character, because let's be honest, the whole pretty boy type thing that Shawn was doing at the time, you could tell Shawn hated it, because if you saw in the match with Vader, he just hated everything, and he was just pissed off. And you could tell that some of the animosity between him and Bret was because of that title reign. And maybe I'll discuss it in future videos, but that's for another day. But yeah, Shawn just had a really tough time trying to carry the company, like tenfold. I mean, business-wise, it was doing poorly, but in-ring-wise, I can't deny he was second to none. 1996, that was Shawn's best year as a whole. Now, we get to this match right here, and I thought this was a great match. I mean, many people I've seen, literally everyone I've seen here on YouTube, has rated this as a great match, and I'm thinking, I'm not expecting this to suck, but I'm expecting this to, just be very good. But this ended up being entertaining as hell. I mean, let me just say this. Before this video ends, I want to talk about one certain thing in the match, and hopefully I don't forget. But, yeah, the one thing that made this thing memorable was the crowd. Oh, man. Madison Square Garden. You think some of the toughest fans in wrestling is the Philadelphia crowd. But in reality, the New York crowd is one of the has some of the more hardcore wrestling fans there, alongside Philadelphia. I mean, that night, Shawn got booed. Oh, man. Listen to the crowd for a majority of this match, and you will see how many people just hated Shawn Michaels' character, just the whole pretty boy. When the bell rang, Shawn got booed, and they were just cheering for Sid. I mean, when Sid came out, he had an awesome entrance. Let me say that. That was a great entrance by Sid. Not just with the pyro, but just the fact when he came out and he just shouted, "Who's the man? You the man!" That thing, he looked like the freaking man. I honestly thought Sid looked like he was the man that night. And that was awesome. And we get to the match, and technically this wasn't amazing, but for what they were able to do, this was great. I mean, Shawn did a good job of carrying Sid in this match. He sold for him like hell. And You know, some of Sid's moves just looked like they were devastating. Vince and JR did a great job commentating that night on how the powerbomb was such a devastating maneuver that if Shawn was even in position for that, it was going to be tough for him to get out and to, you know, avoid getting hit with the move. And just definitely great stuff. It was entertaining, back and forth action. And people would say, yeah, Sid got carried by Shawn, but let me just say, Sid did a great job as well here. You know, with some of his moves, it looked really good. Whether it was the powerbomb or some of his kicks, it was pretty simple. Sid's arsenal was very simple, and some of his offense was very simple, yet very, very believable when it comes to the story. And it was just definitely an entertaining match. You had the big man versus the little man. You had Shawn trying to counter Sid with speed, Sid trying to use his power moves to take down Shawn. It was definitely a great match as a whole, and the finish was freaking awesome. And I want to discuss it in a minute, but finish was awesome. So Jose Lothario was trying to get involved, trying to stop Sid from using a camera on Shawn. Referee has his back turned to Sid and trying to face Shawn, trying to say, "Are you ready, Shawn? Do you want to give this match up yet?" Jose's on the apron. Sid notices him, not by sight, but by hearing him, turns around, uses the camera, and hits him right in the chest. And JR and Vince are selling it like he may be having a heart attack, although this was kayfabe. And yeah, that happens. Shawn is like, "What the hell did you just do?" And once Sid turns around, Shawn super kicks him, and instead of going for the win, he goes out to check on Jose. Sid gets up about a few seconds later and goes over to Shawn and brings him back into the ring. Looks to take him down and take him out. Shawn hits the corner, tries to hit a crossbody, but instead hits the referee. Goes right back out to check on Jose, losing his concentration. Sid goes right back out, hits him with a camera, gets him back into the ring, and then hits the powerbomb, and then gets the pinfall. 1, 2, 3. And the pop was freaking incredible. My God, the crowd was into that match, and they were so into Sid that night. My God. That was one of the louder pops you'll ever hear from a Madison Square Garden crowd when it comes to a championship win around that time. I mean, this was just awesome. Shawn did great selling for Sid. He did a great job carrying Sid through the match when it came to certain spots, when it came to working on the legs, working on Shawn's shoulder. They did a great job, you know, pacing this match, and the structure was really, really well done. And that finish was awesome, and really, it was for one reason only. I'll put a clip at the end of this video, but look in the front row. There's a couple of adult males in the front row, and then there's a teenage girl with a camera. Pay attention very closely in the clip, as you'll see in a minute after I finish this video. You will see the teenage girl, once Sid goes in for the pinfall and the finish on Shawn, once it hits 2, the girl screams, "No!" And then once it hits 3, look very closely in the crowd, and you will see the girl flop her head, and the guys behind her are like, "Yeah! Sid! Whoa!" That is one of the most hilarious reactions I've seen. That is a better reaction to somebody losing a championship than that girl in 2011. That girl, it's hilarious because she just looked straight off pissed off, but here, just because of the difference in crowds, because a lot of the crowd was for Sid, while the girls and the kids were for Shawn, which was very, very different when you look at the characters, since Austin and Sid were getting very over, and you can notice it as well with the Austin Bret Hart match earlier in the night, which was a classic. But yeah, this was a great match. But when it comes to great matches, you can't say that everything was flawless, as this one really wasn't a flawless match whatsoever. Okay, let's get to the issues. First of all, I felt like when it comes to the characters, it was really difficult on the night itself to really figure out who the face and who the heel was, because with the crowd, well, not even with the crowd, I mean, commentary, the structure, and the way that they were working the match, it was very difficult to see who was the babyface and who the heel was. But you know what? When it comes to this time, it really gave this match its own identity. It didn't just say Shawn's the babyface, Sid's the heel. Well, today, I bet you a lot of fans would be thinking this as Shawn's the face, Sid's the heel, because of today's generation of fans. But in reality, it seemed like Sid was the face and Shawn was the heel, because if you notice in one spot earlier on when Shawn was trying to escape Sid's, what's it called? One of Sid's attempts for a powerbomb, Shawn goes right out, and then Sid goes right after Shawn trying to chase him down. You would usually see the babyface chasing the heel like that, but in this case, we saw Sid chasing Shawn. So that added a new dynamic, but at the same time, it was very difficult to really see who the babyface and the heel was. Because really, when it comes to wrestling, you gotta keep it simple sometimes. Another problem I have with this match was the timing and the execution of certain things. Like example, Shawn was trying to go for a double X handle off the top rope while Sid was laying down on the mat. Sid gets his foot up to try to kick Shawn and counter it, but with the timing and positioning, it was off and it didn't look like believable. But it did give us an entertaining moment, as you will see with the image on your screen if I have it. But yeah, I still thought that was a very entertaining match. I can't really think of too many other issues, but really, this was a great match, very entertaining. I think if you want to see the best of Sid when it comes to his in-ring performance, his presence in the ring, you know, the way he performed and everything like that, this is the best example of what Sid was. And you know what? We Are Pro Wrestling made a good point. If not for, no, how should I say this? Imagine if Sid's career ended in 1993 with the whole scissors incident with Arn Anderson, and with the whole injury that he suffered in 95-96. Can you imagine where Sid's career would be if it wasn't for those, you know? I don't know, man, but still, really awesome match. I would give this a 4-star rating. Definitely one of the best matches, or one of the more entertaining matches you will see in Survivor Series, and definitely the definitely Sid's best match ever. And hopefully you guys enjoyed. Now, before I go, let me quickly mention what the next match poll is going to be. In the description box, I'll put the poll for the next match that I'll be reviewing. So in the description, you'll see the poll for what match you guys would like me to review. And yes, I know I have to do those 3 other matches, but this match review is not going to come until January. The reason why? January 4, 2017, we are going to come up to Wrestle Kingdom 11, which is New Japan's biggest show of the year annually. This is New Japan's Wrestle Kingdom. And yeah, in honor of that, I decided to do a Wrestle Kingdom poll. And what are the options? Well, let's find out. Your options are... Give me a second. Alright, here we go. Yuji Nagata versus Minoru Suzuki from Wrestle Kingdom 1. Yuji Nagata versus Kurt Angle from Wrestle Kingdom 2. For those who don't know, that is the same match that was aired on the TNA Global Impact show that also came out on DVD. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Keiji Muto from Wrestle Kingdom 3. Let's see. Hiroki Goto versus Takashi Sugiura from Wrestle Kingdom 4. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Satoshi Kojima from Wrestle Kingdom 5. Let me see. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada from Wrestle Kingdom 7. Tetsuya Naito versus Kazuchika Okada from Wrestle Kingdom 8. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Hiroshi Tanahashi, also from Wrestle Kingdom 8. Kota Ibushi versus Shinsuke Nakamura from Wrestle Kingdom 9. Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada from Wrestle Kingdom 9. AJ Styles versus Shinsuke Nakamura from Wrestle Kingdom 10. And Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Kazuchika Okada, also from Wrestle Kingdom 10. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know this went long, but you know what? The ending that you're going to get is totally going to be worth it. And once again, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. And hopefully you guys had a deliciously satisfying meal. Trust me, I just had one a while ago, and damn, I feel like I'm hungry again. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, peace.